What's up guys? They say if you show passion and enthusiasm, eventually you're gonna get more subscribers and followers. So give me those.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
So I guess that doesn't work. At least we can proceed with our video. So let's go. Hey guys, and welcome to the Photoshop Hustler show. I tried recreating a photo that I created 3 years ago, and then there was a debate whether the photo after 3 years is better or not. In my opinion, the editing was way better, but then the photography and the posing and everything wasn't that much good. Maybe I took my editing skills for granted, so for me it was some sort of a fail. But what do we do when we fail? We learn and we become better. So this time I was really careful about what I should wear, how I should pose, what time of the day I'll be shooting in. So this is the old photo. It looks nice and everything, but my main issue with the photo is that when you zoomed into the face, you could see that it's kinda blown out highlights because that place had a very strong sun hitting my face, and then in the inside it wasn't that bright. So the camera somehow couldn't compensate the very high dynamic range. So this time I was smarter. I waited until before sunset with only 30 minutes so the sun isn't as harsh as the first one, and then I took the photo. Also, I'm shooting with a camera with a higher dynamic range that allows me to shoot photos in RAW, and then I can open the blacks and bring down the highlights. But then someone will come and tell me it's only possible because of your gear, but let me show you something. If I didn't have gear and I didn't know that my camera can save me in the dark shadows that I had in my photo, what I was gonna do is I was simply gonna bring some sort of like a white foam board. I want you to look at that part in my face. How dark is it? And then how strongly it gets affected whenever I put the foam in front of it. So it's not about the gear you have, it's more about the knowledge you know. And based on that knowledge, you could put a white piece of foam, or maybe get something like that silver reflector just to reflect some light coming from the sun to fill in the shadows, or just use any mirror you have in your house. So enough talking, and let's see how I shot that image and how I edited it. Okay guys, so this is the photo shot straight out of the camera. So the first thing I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna make sure like I have like details in the shadows, and I have like all details in the highlight. Okay, that's good. Let me brighten it up just a little bit for the shadows. Then let's bring the highlights down. Something like that is good. I don't want to have like, mainly like I'm gonna cut anyways the out part, but I'm more focused on my forehead. I don't want like these parts to be blown out. Then I'm gonna open the shadows something like very strongly, something like that, until I start getting details in my t-shirt. Let's bring the blacks down just a little bit, and let's compensate the loss of like brightness in the whites. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of clarity and some dehaze just to make the photo just a bit more punchy. And I'm gonna go to the S curve. I'm gonna do the S curve. This is what I always like to do. It brings some contrast while making sure I don't have anything black clipping in the photo by pulling it up just a little bit. Then in the sharpness, I don't like to sharpen my photos before. I like to sharpen them after, because if you sharpen them before and then you resize them, then you're gonna get like some issues. That's why I like. Also, I add some luminance to make the noise go away. Then I'm gonna go to the Hsl Adjustments. I'm gonna start with the hue. Let's push the red a little bit towards the orange. It's a bit too reddy. That's why I made that change. And then here I'm gonna just desaturate just a little bit the reds and the oranges. Then I'm gonna go to the luminance, and I'm gonna open up just a little bit the oranges to brighten them up, and the reds as well. So now I have like a good looking skin, I guess. Then in the split toning, I always like to add in the highlights just a little bit of orange, and then in the shadows I will put like some sort of like a contrasting color. In this case it's cyan. Then I'm gonna go like press enable profile correction. This will adjust it to like the camera and the lens I'm using, but I don't like the distortion correction, so I'm gonna pull it to 0. And the vignette, I'm gonna restore some vignette actually. And I'm gonna add like another small vignette here, just to make like a black circle around the photo. Finally, I'm gonna take the graduated filter. I'm gonna make sure it's like some sort of blue and magenta, and I'm gonna add some sort of blue and magenta to the photo from bottom, top, left, and actually in the left I'm gonna just darken it just a little bit as well. Also from below I'm gonna reduce the highlights and the whites, add a little bit more blue, and just make sure I darken it a little bit. But I guess this one is too strong. Let's fade it out just a little bit. Okay, the last thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take like the straighten tool. I'm gonna make sure my photo is somehow straight, and let me take like the crop tool, and I'm gonna just crop it from above, something like that, and then just a bit from below. And let me double click and let's open image. Okay, so this is the image we had. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate it like horizontal. I like when the photo is going left to right, not right to left, because we read from left to right. Then the thing I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna make sure I separate like the background using the pen tool. This is gonna take some time, so I'm gonna just speed it forward. This is the image I'm using. Let me flip it horizontal. Let's adjust it something like that. And I guess what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually select like the top part of the image, go to modify, expand it by 3, so it's like overlapping. Then I'm gonna go to edit, fill. Then I'm gonna make sure it's content aware. So now Photoshop will try automatically to fill in the empty parts. And perfect job. So now we have our sun here, and things started to look good already. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna add a layer on top of the sun. I'm gonna take a brush with 100% opacity, 3% flow. Then I'm gonna make sure this layer is on overlay. I'm gonna sample an orange bright color, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go all over the highlights in my image. Then I'm gonna add a new layer. I'm gonna put it in multiply mode or darker color mode. I'm gonna sample some sort of a dark blue color, or let's say dark magenta color. Then I'm gonna do the same in the opposite shadows. So I'm kinda carving the clouds, making them look more 3D. Okay, now the next thing I'm gonna do is, I believe the sky is a bit boring, so I'm gonna add a new layer, create a cloud. Then I'm gonna flip it horizontal, so it's something like that. Let's make it somehow bigger, just like to fill the sky so it's less boring. I'm gonna open curves, and I'm just gonna like darken everything, something like that. Then I'm gonna press Ctrl I so it's invisible, and using a white low opacity brush, I'm gonna restore some of the hidden masks so we can darken this area just a bit. I guess now much better, so it doesn't like take the eye like it did before. Okay, now it's time to add some interesting highlights. So how I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna create a new layer, hue saturation. Then I'm gonna press colorize. I'm gonna make sure it's very bright, like 75, then 100% opacity, and the orange color we want. Make sure it's linked to my layer, Ctrl I to invert the mask. Now, whenever I paint anywhere in like the image, I'm gonna restore what I did. So if I paint here, you see I'm getting like these highlights. And now as I'm done with the highlighting part, can you see like the before and the after? We did some like interesting highlights. Then I'm gonna do a new layer, make sure it's also linked. This time I'm gonna make sure this layer is an overlay, 3% flow, 100% opacity, and I'm gonna take an orange color. Just the same way I highlighted the sky, I'm gonna highlight the areas which are hitting the sun. Do like some final adjustments. I want to change the t-shirt color, so how I'm gonna do it is by a gradient map. I'm gonna link it, I'm gonna choose black and white, then I'm gonna pull the black all the way to the middle and choose whatever color I want. In this case the whole scene is some kinda orange, so I guess something bluish or cyan is gonna look really good. So I guess something like that. Then Control I, then I'll have to zoom in like all the way to the t-shirt, and I'm gonna select the whole t-shirt. And once I'm done, I'm gonna Control backspace to give it that blue color. Now let's do our final adjustments. On top of everything, I'm gonna add a curves. I'm gonna pull the shadows down, and then the black point, I'm gonna pull it up just a little bit. Then I'm gonna pull like the whole thing from the highlights down. So this will help like blend everything better together. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a gradient map to like try to blend all the colors together. I'm gonna use this one actually, but then I'm gonna change this one just to be more blue, this one to be a bit more orange. You can copy like the code of the color if you want. And this one I'm gonna add more orange to it. And how I like to do the gradient maps, I'll put like 7% opacity, then 3 copies, one in normal, one in color. The last one I go overlay and go 50-50 in opacity and fill. I'm gonna hold Control Alt Shift then press E. This will merge everything into a new layer. Now I can go to filter, camera raw filter again. And now I'm just gonna open the shadows a little bit because like we darkened the shadows a lot with our coloring. Then I'm gonna go with the radial filter, minus the dehaze, may increase the blacks a little bit, some yellow, some magenta, and I'm gonna draw like a big circle around the sun and another small circle around the sun. This is to emit some sort of a light glow coming from here. Then I'm gonna take again the radial filter. This time I'm gonna increase the clarity, increase the haze, increase sharpness, open the shadows, increase contrast. So basically I'm increasing everything that will make the eyes attracted. So I'm gonna do it on the face because this is where I want the eyes to be attracted to. Finally, I'm gonna take the graduated filter. I'm gonna reduce the highlights and the whites, and I'm gonna add some blue and desaturate a little bit, add some dehaze, reduce the clarity and reduce the texture. And this is like the opposite. This is what I do to make the eyes go away from that part. And I'm gonna pull from down, from right, from above, and from left. And let me zoom out, take like I like to look like at the photos from far away to make sure colors are fine. And let's press OK. And I guess we're done with the tutorial. If you have any comments, questions or suggestions, make sure you write them in the comment section down below. I do reply to every single one of them. Also make sure you like this video if you found it beneficial, and until next time.